Joining us on the program to break down one of the perhaps regrettably most consequential figures of modern American history, that being Elon Musk. We have independent journalist and author Jacob Silverman. Jacob, welcome to the show. Very glad to have you here.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you. We're going to be discussing your book, Gilded Rage, Elon Musk and the Radicalization of Silicon Valley. Although I'm also excited now to listen to, you just told me before the show, your limited series podcast on the CBC, The Making of Musk. So fascinating, clearly. By the way, in my prep for this, I read that you apparently began working on the idea for this book, which is about Elon Musk, but not just Elon Musk, a number of different tech, like big figures in tech and politics that have moved rightward culturally, economically over the past years. You apparently started working on this around like 2022, 2023, I believe.
That's right.
You chose a great time to start working on that because of course you have the purchase of Twitter, and it just really feels like many of these figures became way more a constant like element of the news, way more active on social media. I don't know if like if they were actually changing in real time during that period, or it was just becoming more obvious. But it was certainly great timing. So I have a lot of questions I want to ask you, but tell us a little bit about the creation of this book and what you wanted to address.
Sure. One of the first pieces I wrote that probably directly informed the book was about David Sacks, who is now a more well-known figure. He works in the White House as the AI and crypto czar for President Trump. But this was in 2022 when he was much more involved in local politics in San Francisco and funding various recalls of the local school board, or attempted recall of Gavin Newsom, and then the successful one around DA Chesa Boudin. And San Francisco really sort of started as this laboratory, I think, for some of the tech right, both the new and old members of the tech right. And that's what I think I was paying attention to at the time. And I saw that Sacks was friends with Musk, and then when Musk was taking over Twitter, it seemed to be pretty quickly becoming an extension of his growing political involvement and of the various cultural and social grievances that we were hearing a lot of from Musk and some of his peers.
Yeah, and now we hear it, dozens and dozens of times a day. Sometimes I'll go to Musk's Twitter account to find a specific tweet, and you can lose yourself for hours just trying to see what he's tweeted in a day or two.
There are many.
Exactly. So look, I want to start with him. So you're looking into, again, a number of these different figures, but Musk is the big one. He's the title character there. What broke him? What was he always this way? Were they all always this way, or have they actually changed? Are they just more visible, or have they actually been radicalized?
I think it's a mix of a few different categories. I mean, some are clearly more opportunistic, especially lately when we see people like the heads of Apple or Alphabet or Microsoft paying lip service to Trump in some way. Mark Zuckerberg seems to be enjoying his new kind of macho phase and wearing his big T-shirts and saying business needs to be more masculine, and saying to Trump, "Oh, what number did you want me to say?" But this is also someone who's faced a lot of threats from the government in terms of antitrust potential. I mean, that's something Google's going through right now. Or in the case of Zuckerberg, Trump said he wanted to put him in prison. So these are people in some ways looking out for themselves. But with someone like Musk, I think he was not a dyed-in-the-wool political animal. I mean, he grew up, of course, in a very political culture, and that's something I explore in the podcast I just did, which is he grew up in apartheid South Africa as one of the privileged white elite. And that, I think, shaped him enormously and shaped ideas of how society might be engineered, who deserves to be in charge, and things like that. But with someone like Musk and some of the other characters I talked to in this book, COVID and 2020, I think, were the beginning of their most recent transformation, or their most dramatic transformation. And some of them have talked about this quite directly, but there are a number of issues and sort of currents going through the culture of the time, from COVID lockdowns and disagreements over that. Even the crashing commercial real estate market hurt people like David Sacks. BLM and Me Too movements, which didn't affect tech that much. But in a lot of these social movements, tech billionaires saw a form of progressive politics they really didn't like, that they didn't recognize, that they wanted to reject. You also had people like Marc Andreessen saying that he thought that young leftists were coming to work for tech companies to try to destroy them from the inside. So there was this real anti-leftism, anti-progressivism, and of course, as we now hear it called all the time, anti-wokeism spreading throughout this industry and affecting a lot of its principal personalities.
Yeah. I mean, maybe those young leftists aren't trying to destroy these companies. They're trying to disrupt the companies, move fast and break things or whatever. I guess that's only for the executives. But anyway, so you point out that some, including Musk, have faced calls for government action. And hypothetically, those calls could return. You also have with Musk, and correct me if I'm wrong, he's the one of these that I see the most. Maybe others are like this. I feel like there's all the business stuff that you've identified and that we could discuss, but he also feels like he has that Trump thing of really wanting to be liked and accepted, to have a tribe. Like, he doesn't seem to have any of that old school rich person thing of being happy to just be in his mansion, be on an island with other rich people. He wants likes, he wants retweets. And is that a thing for any of the others? Like that need to have sort of like a cult to be venerated. Is that an important part of this story, or is that sort of like just incidental, do you think?
I think it is part of it that, Musk obviously needs the adoration of the crowd, and he can be sometimes very transparently insecure about it. And I think some of these other billionaires probably share that need, but we wouldn't necessarily be exposed to it as much, or they may not feel it as much if there weren't social media to create that conduit between all of us, the hoi polloi, and them. So what we also have learned in recent years is that some of these people do want to be liked or thought of as brilliant, but they are very sensitive to any kind of critique. Marc Andreessen is famous for blocking so many people on Twitter, including many journalists. I've been blocked, I think, multiple times by him, while maybe never interacting with him, though I've written about him, of course. But or a guy named Naval Ravikant, who's sort of an important thought leader type among the VC class. He's blocked practically everyone, including me. I mean, they all kind of act like this, where they are not insulated enough maybe by their wealth. They still are quite insecure. So you say, they receive one snarky comment and then they block you, or then their rage just sets off. And so I think that's kind of the fault built in maybe to this kind of system, where like they want to be famous and beloved, but it's also a way, social medias provide a way for that, but also a way for a lot of us to throw rotten tomatoes at them, and surprisingly that hurts them.
Yeah, it does. And it also, for me, like, I'm as far as you can be basically from being wealthy. It kind of ruins the whole appeal of being a billionaire, because evidently they still spend their time just checking the replies. It's not as cool to be wealthy as you might think, evidently. You still waste all of your time on social media.
It's kind of sad, right? I mean, I oftentimes wonder which of Marc Andreessen's mansions is he complaining from. He has 3 mansions in Malibu. He has one in Atherton. I'm sure others elsewhere. It's like,
yeah,
but it says something that these guys can't just put the phone down.